First Samuel chapter 5. The ark in Philistia. After the Philistines captured the ark of God, they took it from the battleground at Ebenezer to the town of Ashdod. They carried the ark of God into the temple of Dagon and placed it beside an idol of Dagon. But when the citizens of Ashdod went to see it the next morning, Dagon had fallen with his face to the ground in front of the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him in his place again. But the next morning the same thing happened. Dagon had fallen face down before the ark of the Lord again. This time his head and hand had broken off and were lying in the doorway. Only the trunk of his body was left intact. That is why to this day neither the priest of Dagon nor anyone who enters the temple of Dagon in Ashdod will step on its threshold. Then the Lord's heavy hand struck the people of Ashdod and the nearby village with the plague of tumor. When the people realized what was happening, they cried out, "We can't keep the ark of God of Israel here any longer. He is against us. We will all be destroyed along with Dagon, our God." So they called together the ruler of the Philistine town and asked, "What should we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" The ruler discussed it and replied, "Move it to the town of Gath." So they moved the ark of the God of Israel to Gath. But when the ark arrived at Gath, the Lord's heavy hand fell on his men, young and old. He struck them with the plague of tumor, and there was a great panic. So they sent the ark of God to the town of Ekron. But when the people of Ekron saw it coming, they cried out, "They are bringing the ark of God of Israel here to kill us too." The people summoned the Philistine ruler again and begged them, "Please send the ark of God of Israel back to its own country, or it will kill us all." For the deadly plague from God had already begun, and great fear was sweeping across the town. Those who didn't die were afflicted with tumor, and the cry from the town rose to heaven. Chapter 6. The Philistines returned to the ark. The ark of the God remained in Philistine territory 7 months in all. Then the Philistines called in their priests and the diviners and asked them, "What should we do about the ark of the Lord? Let us tell us how to return it to its own country." "Send the ark of God of Israel back with a gift," they were told. "Send a guilty offering so the plague will stop. Then if you are healed, you will know it was his hand that caused the plague." "What sort of guilt offering should we send?" they asked. And they were told, "Since the plague has struck both you and your 5 rulers, make 5 gold tumor and 5 gold rat, just like those that had ravaged your head. Make these things to show honor to the God of Israel. Perhaps then he will stop afflicting you, your God, and your land. Don't be stubborn and rebellious as the Pharaoh and the Egyptian were." By the time God was finished with them, they were eager to let Israel go. "Now build a new cart and find 2 cows that have just given birth to calves. Make sure the cows has never been yoked to a cart. Hitch the cow to the cart but shut the calves away from them in a pen. Put the ark of the Lord on the cart, and besides it place a chest containing the gold rat and the gold tumor you sent in as a guilt offering. Then let the cow go wherever they want. If they cross the border of our land and go to Bashan, we will know it was the Lord who brought this great disaster upon us. If they don't, we will know it was not his hand that caused the plague. It comes simply by chance." So these instructions were carried out. 2 cows were hitched to the cart, and the newborn calves were shut up in a pen. Then the ark of the Lord and the chest contained the gold rat and gold tumor were placed on the cart. And sure enough, without veering off in other directions, the car went straight along the road toward Bethshem. Lowing as they went, the Philistine ruler followed them as far as the border of Bethshem. The people of Bethshem were harvesting wheat in the valley, and when they saw the ark, they were overjoyed. The cart came into the field of a man named Joshua and stopped beside a large rock. So the people broke up the wood of the cart for a fire and killed the cow and sacrificed them to the Lord as a burnt offering. Several men of the tribe of Levi lifted the ark of the Lord and the chest containing the gold rat and the gold tumor from the cart and placed them on the large rock. Many sacrifices and burnt offerings were offered to the Lord that day by the people of Bethshem. The 5 Philistine rulers watched all this and then returned to Ekron that same day. The 5 gold tumors sent by the Philistines as a guilt offering to the Lord were given from the ruler of Asher, Gazer, Ashken, Gath, and Ekron. The 5 gold rats represent the 5 Philistine and the surrounding village, which were controlled by the 5 rulers. The large rock at Bethshem, where they set the ark of the Lord, still stand in the field of Joshua as a witness to what happened there. The ark moved to Kiriath-Jearim, but the Lord killed 70 men from Baasha because they looked into the ark of the Lord. And the people mourned greatly because of what the Lord had done. Who is able to stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? They cried out. Where can we send the ark from here? So they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-Jearim and told them, the Philistines had returned the ark of the God, Lord. Come here and get it. Chapter 7. So the men of Kiriath-Jearim came to get the ark of the Lord. They took it to the hillside home of Abinadab and ordained Eleazar his son to be in charge of it. The ark remained in Canaan for a long time, 20 years in all. During that time, all Israel mourned because it seemed the Lord had abandoned them. Samuel led Israel to victory. Then Samuel said to all the people of Israel, if you want to return to the Lord with all your heart, get rid of your foreign god and your image of Ashtoreth. Turn your heart to the Lord and obey him alone. Then he will rescue you from the Philistines. So the Israelites get rid of their image of Baal and Ashtoreth's worship and only worship only the Lord. Then Samuel tells them, gather all of the Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you. So they gathered at Mizpah and in a great ceremony drew water from a well and poured it out before the Lord. They also went without food all day and confessed that they had sinned against the Lord. It was at Mizpah that Samuel became Israel's judge. When the Philistine ruler heard that Israel had gathered at Mizpah, they mobilized their army and advanced. The Israelites were badly frightened when they learned that the Philistines were approaching. Don't stop pleading with the Lord our God to save us from the Philistines, they begged Samuel. So Samuel took a young lamb and offered it to the Lord as a whole burnt offering. He pleaded with the Lord to help Israel, and the Lord answered him. Just as Samuel was sacrificing the burnt offering, the Philistines arrived to attack Israel. But the Lord spoke with a mighty voice of thunder from heaven that day, and the Philistines were thrown into such confusion that the Israel defeated them. The men of Israel chased them from Mizpah to the place of Beno Beskar, slaughtered them all along the way. Samuel then took a large stone and placed it between the town of Mizpah and Jasana. His name is Ebenezer, which means the stone of hell, for he said, up to this point the Lord has helped us. So the Philistines were subdued and didn't invade Israel again for some time, and throughout Samuel's lifetime the Lord's power hand was raised against the Philistines. The Israelite village near Ekron and Gath that the Philistines had captured were restored to Israel, along with the rest of the territory that the Philistines had taken. And there were peace between Israel and the Amorites in those days. Samuel continued as Israel's judge for the rest of his life. Each year he traveled around, setting up his court first at Bethel and then Giga and then the Mizpah. He judged the people of Israel at each of these places. Then he would return to his home at Ramah, and he would hear case there too, and Samuel built an altar to the Lord at Ramah. Chapter 8. Israel requested a king. As Samuel grew old, he appointed his son to be judge over Israel. Joel and Abijah, his oldest son, held court in Bathsheba. But they were not like their father, for they were greedy for money. They accepted bribe and preferred justice. Finally, as all the elders of Israel met at Ramah to discuss the matter with Samuel, "Look," they told him, "you are now old, and your sons are not like you. Give us a king to judge us like all the other nations have." Samuel was displeased with their request and went to the Lord for guidance. "Do everything they say to you," the Lord replied, "for they are rejecting me, not you. They don't want me to be their king any longer. Ever since I brought them from Egypt, they have continually abandoned me and followed other gods, and now they're giving you the same treatment. Do as they ask, but solemnly warn them about the way a king will reign over them." Samuel warned against a kingdom. So Samuel passed on the Lord's warning to the people who were asking him for a king. "This is how a king will reign over you," Samuel said. "The king will draft your son and assign them to his chariot and his charioteer, making them run before his chariot. Some will be general and captain in his army. Some will be forced to plow in his field and harvest his crops. And some will make his weapon and chariot equipment. The king will take your daughter from you and force them to cook and bake and make perfume for him. He will take away the best of your field and the vineyard and the olive groves and give them to his own official. He will take a tenth of your grain and grapes halves and distribute it among his officer and attendant. He will take your male and female slaves and demand the finest of your cattle and donkey for his own use. He will demand a tenth of your flocks, and you will be his slaves. When that day comes, he will beg for relief from this king. You will beg for relief from this king you are demanding, but then the Lord will not help you." But the people refused to listen to Samuel's warning. "Even though we still want a king," they said, "we want to be like the nation around us. Our king will judge us and lead us into battle." So Samuel repeated to the Lord what the people had said. Then the Lord replied, "Do as they say and give them a king." Then Samuel agreed and sent the people home. Chapter 9. Saul met Samuel. There was a wealthy, influential man named Kish from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the son of Abiel, son of Zerah, and the son of Bechor, and the son of Aphiah, and the tribe of Benjamin. His son Saul was the most handsome man in Israel, head and shoulder taller than anyone else in the land. One day, Kish's donkey stayed straight away, and he told Saul, "Take a servant with you and go look for the donkey." So Saul took one of the servants and traveled through the hill country of Ephraim, the land of Shalisa, the Shalisas area, and the entire land of Benjamin, but they couldn't find the donkey anywhere. Finally, they entered the region of Cap, and Saul said to his servant, "Let's go home, but now my father will be more worried about us than about the donkey." But the servant said, "I've just thought of something. There is a man of God who lived here in this town, and he is held in high honor by all the people because everything he said comes true. Let's go find him. Perhaps he can tell us which way to go." "But we don't have anything to offer him," Saul replied. "Even our food is gone, and we don't have any cents to give him." "Well," the servant said, "I have a once more silver piece. We can at least offer it to the man of God and see what happened." In those days, people want a message from God. They would say, "Let's go and ask the seer." For prophets used to call seers. "All right," Saul agreed. "Let's try it." So they started into the town where the man of God lived. As they were climbing the hill to the town, they met some young women coming out to draw water. So Saul and his servant asked, "Is the seer here today?" "Yes," they replied. "Stay right on this road. He is at the town gaze. He has just arrived to take part in a public sacrifice up at the place of the worship. Hurry and catch him before he goes up there to eat. The guest won't begin eating until he arrives to bless the food. So they entered the town, and as they passed through the gate, Samuel was coming out toward them to go up to the place of worship. Now the Lord had told Samuel the previous day, about this time tomorrow, I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin, anoint him to be the leader of my people Israel. He will rescue them from the Philistines, for I have looked down on my people in mercy and have heard the cry. When Samuel sought Saul, the Lord said, That's the man I told you about. He will rule my people. Just then Saul approached Samuel at the gateway and asked, Can you please tell me where the seer's house is? I'm the seer. Samuel replied, Go up to the place of worship ahead of me. We will eat there together, and in the morning I will tell you what you want to know and send you on your way. And don't worry about those donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, for they have been found. And I'm here to tell you that you and your family are the focus of all Israel's hope. Saul replied, But I'm only from the tribe of Benjamin, the smallest tribe in Israel, and my family is the least important of all the family of the tribe. Why are you talking like this to me? Then Samuel brought Saul and his servant into the hall and placed them at the head of the table, ordering them above the 30 special guests. Samuel then instructed the cook to bring Saul the finest cut of meat, the piece that had been set aside for the guest of honor. So the cook brought in the meat and placed it before Saul. Go ahead and eat it, Samuel said. I was saving it for you even before I invited those others. So Saul ate with Samuel that day. When they came down from the place of worship and returned to the town, Samuel took Saul up to the roof of the house and prepared a bed for him there. At the daybreak the next morning, Saul called Saul, Get up, it's time you are on your way. So Saul got ready, and he and Samuel left the house together. When they reached the edge of the town, Samuel told Saul to send his servant ahead. After the servants were gone, Samuel said, Stay here, for I have received a special message for you from God. Chapter 10. Samuel anointed Saul as king. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it over Saul's head. He kissed Saul and said, I'm doing this because the Lord has appointed you to be the ruler over Israel, his special possession. When you lift me today, you will see 2 men besides Rachel's Tom and Zillah. On the board of Benjamin, they will let you that the donkey has been found and that your father has stopped worrying about them and is now worried about you. He is asking, Have you seen my son? When you get to the Ark of Tabor, you will see 3 men coming toward you who are on their way to worship God at Bethel. One will be bringing 3 young goats, another will have 3 loaves of bread, and the bird will be carried a wineskin full of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 of the loaves which you are to accept. When you arrive at the Gibeah of God, where the Goshen of the Philistines is located, you will meet a band of prophets coming down from the place of worship. They will be playing a harp, a tabret, a flute, and a lyre, and they will be prophesying. At the time, the Spirit of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you will philosophize with them. You will be changed into a different person. After this sign takes place, do what must be done, for God is with you. Then go down to Gilgal ahead of me. I will join you there to sacrifice burnt offering and peace offering. You must wait for 7 days until I arrive and give you further instruction. Samuel's signs are fulfilled. As Saul turned and started to live, God gave him a new heart, and all Samuel's sign was fulfilled that day. When Saul and his servant arrived at the Gibeah, they saw a group of prophets coming toward them. Then the Spirit of God came powerfully upon Saul, and he too began to prophesy. When those who knew Saul heard about it, they exclaimed, What? Is even Saul a prophet? How did the son of Kish become a prophet? And one of those standing there said, Can anyone become a prophet no matter who his father is? So that is the original of the saying, Is even Saul a prophet? When Saul had finished the prophesying, he went up to the place of worship. Where have you been? Saul's uncle asked him and his servant. "We're looking for the donkey," Saul replied, "but we couldn't find them, so we went to Samuel to ask him where they were." "Oh, and what did he say?" his uncle asked. "He told us that the donkey had already been found," Samuel replied, but Saul didn't tell his uncle what Samuel said about the kinder. Saul is acclaimed king. Later, Samuel called all the people of Israel to meet before the Lord at Mizpah, and he said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has declared. I brought you from Egypt and rescued you from the Egyptians and from all the nations that were oppressed you. But though I have rescued you from your misery and distress, you have rejected your God today and have said, 'No, we want a king instead.' Now, therefore, present yourself before the Lord by tribes and clans." So Samuel brought all the tribe of Israel before the Lord, and the tribe of Benjamin was chosen by lot. Then he brought each family of the tribe of Benjamin before the Lord, and the family of Matris was chosen, and the final Saul, son of Kish, was chosen from among them. But when they looked for him, he has disappeared. So they asked the Lord, "Where is he?" And the Lord replied, "He is hiding among the baggage." So they found him and brought him out, and he stood head and shoulder above anyone else. Then Samuel said to all the people, "This is the man the Lord has chosen as your king. No one in all Israel is like him." And all the people shouted, "Long life the king!" Then Samuel told the people what the right and duty of a king were. He wrote them down on a scroll and placed it before the Lord. Then Samuel sent the people home again. When Saul returned to his home at Gibeah, a group of men whose heart God had touched went with him, but there were some scoundrels who complained, "How can this man save us?" And they scorned him and refused to bring him gift, but Saul ignored them. Nahash, king of Amorite, had been grievously oppressed the people of Gad and Reuben who lived east of the Jordan River. He gouged out the right eyes of each of the Israelites living there, and he didn't allow anyone to come and rescue them. In fact, of all the Israel east of the Jordan, there wasn't a single one whose right eye Sinatra has not got, but there were 7,000 men who had escaped from Amorite, and they had settled in Jabesh and Gilead. Alright, so those chapter is talking about Samuel how become judge of Israel, and also Israel people how want a king after Samuel getting old. And then Lord chose the Saul. That's how Saul become the first king of Israel. But that is not the end of the history. That is not the end of the story. That is not the end of the judges area of Israel. So there's more about here story. Okay. So that is today's Bible learning. Hope everybody like it. God bless you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.